All right. The Bad Podcast. It is Friday, October 20th, 7:10 p.m. I'm Drew.
And I'm Brett. Welcome back, episode 007. We got two heavy-hitting guests today. We got Mike Soares and Lucas Bentes. Thank you guys for joining us.
Of course. I'm happy to be here.
Dude, we've been wanting you guys to be on here for a while, and I'm so happy that it came to fruition.
Me too.
It all just fell in place.
Oh, yeah.
We were actually talking about something right before we started. We were talking about body language, and I kind of like put it behind me because I wanted to save it for the start of this. Okay. But you said you I study that shit for a living.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So, in fitness, a lot of it is, a little bit of it is sales. So, for example, like even though we are training individuals, a lot of it's psychological, and like when I'm pitching myself to an individual, I have to study how they react. Some people will back away when you're talking to them. Sometimes you'll sit forward, react, see if they sit forward too. That means that they're interested. So a bunch of little cues like that subconsciously is like you'll notice them. The individual you're talking to has no idea. But like little things like that, I find like really cool.
Your brain is like unconsciously like processing, and like you like when you know how to do it, like you can like just put like the open posture, like confident, grounded. And like it unconsciously makes them trust you more and like want to buy or want to like train with you, whatever that is.
Exactly. And like a lot of times there'll be like something that we are taught is like a subconscious yes train. So like I'm trying to explain to like if you want to train with me, right? I'd be like, so I know you want to lose that weight, right? You'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, so I know you made a timeline with it. Like we want to get it in this point, this point, this point, right? And you're like, yeah. And you keep getting yeah. And then I'm like, so you're gonna train with me? It's like a yeah, you know what I mean? So look a little shit like that. Yeah, you're priming. Exactly. You're working them up for it. So
that's so sneaky.
It's
wow.
The morality of business.
But
trapping people.
It's conditioning, man.
It is. Subconscious conditioning. I love it.
I think that the body language is just a sign that we're still primates.
No
like it really is just totally manifest. It's just like the dominant one is just generally more open, more confident, showing the vulnerable areas. And like a lot of people are just like totally like people don't think about it, but like when you cross your like center line, like it's a sign of just like weakness, really.
So I was actually reading a little bit about how women a lot more times are being taught to not to cross their legs, but even when they're little, like they're taught to sit cross and sit close and not take up that much space. Similar to what you're saying, like men are more dominant. They like chest up, you know what I mean? Take up a lot of space. So little things like that I find so interesting.
For sure. Maybe that's why men like push farther in business because like they're unconsciously like when they're talking in a workroom, like everybody's like, oh yeah. Like just because they're unconsciously like feeding into that energy that he's putting off.
Yeah, exactly.
I think body language is the most important thing, especially like for the interviews that I've given or like interviews that I've been in. You always got to keep in mind your body language because it's just like it reflects like a level of confidence. And if you're just like I'm talking to you and I'm just like slouching and I'm like looking down and I'm just super awkward, you're gonna be like, what's up with this dude? But if I'm like sitting with a good posture and I'm like talking, smiling, looking at you, you know, changes the game. Absolutely.
Yeah. Exactly. Same with what we were just saying. Like even though a lot of people just think, oh, sit tall, it looks good. Subconsciously, you're taking up a lot more space, a little bit more dominant. Similar to what we were just mentioning. So I like relating little shit like that. You know what I mean?
And I learned about how in public speaking with Lisa Troy. Shout out to Lisa Troy. Public speaking with her, she was talking about how even if you're nervous, if you like take up more room and you like present yourself like you're not nervous and super confident, you actually build your confidence.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. And then fake it till you become it. And then you actually become more confident and you're able to kill whatever it is you need to kill.
Sometimes I'm like talking to somebody, like I'm watching their body language and they're like starting to angle away from me. And like, I just see that they're not invested in the conversation anymore. And I'm like, all right, dude, like, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Like, have a nice day. Exactly.
It's so important. It's absolutely so important. I think body language and like, just your downright attitude are the two most important things because you can say anything. You can bullshit anything else in life, you know, but the attitude that you have towards something and the way you present it is everything.
Yeah, of course. And even like in my expertise in my career, like I know fitness is a lot of people just think it's like moving weights, but like it translates to other aspects of life. Like discipline. We were just speaking about discipline prior to this. Like Lucas is a prime example of that. Like even though you're fit, it's fitness. You're moving weights and such. It's like you set yourself a goal and you accomplish it. You know it takes a while. Same thing. You can relate that to other parts of life. Completely unrelated to fitness. You know what I mean?
Dude, the barbell teaches you so much more.
I don't even want to get I could talk all day. I don't know. Just the gym or just the journey to fitness or the journey to being the fit man that I wanted to be my whole life has just taught me 20 times more than I've learned at Milford High, Bridgewater State.
Shout out Milford High, no
Shout out
bullshit.
Milford High.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how much you learn, like discipline, just like your confidence goes up. You learn to respect yourself, and then I don't know. It's just being in the gym. I think is the greatest thing that's ever happened, and everyone needs to
Have some level of
have
fitness.
have some level at least, or like some sort of physical activity, because it really does change your life, especially seeing the progress like that you've worked so hard for, and then like seeing it over time. Like if I look back at a picture of me in high school when I weighed 160, I looked like you could break my arm. You know, you could just snap it with a karate chop, and now it's like, good luck breaking my arm. You know?
Dude,
You can't bullshit. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of people have misconceptions too in our culture about fitness, where they feel like it's a state that you arrive at, or like I'm fit, like now I'm fit, versus I feel like it's a constant state of your life, where it's like a journey towards fitness and a journey towards living like a healthier lifestyle. Whereas some people just think like, I need to get fit. Like once I do this, I'll be fit, and then I'm fit. But it's not like that.
It's not that at all. Like fitness, like moving weights is just one part. Movement, nutrition, regeneration. Like, and especially you two, you guys always speak about yoga and like stretching, for example. Like, it's not just about that. It's moving towards a healthier lifestyle. You know what I mean? Converts it throughout that.
I just want to be able to like, because I'm not like this ethereal Brett. I'm a body.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to have to navigate around the physical world. And if I can do that more pain-free, stronger, and at the bottom of it, it's fun to be strong. It's fun, and it's like one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like you can't bullshit the barbell, which is what I like. Like you can bullshit a lot of your life, but if you can't lift that weight, you can't lift that weight.
Exactly.
There's no lying. It's true. It's humbling.
And it just like it speaks to your work ethic, you know, because you can through time, like if you're like you said, Brett, if you're just bullshitting it, you come into the gym once a week, or like you can go even 7 times a week, but you come in and you do like 1 push-up and you leave. You're just there to like say that you're there, you know. You're gonna know, and after like a year or 2 years, you're still gonna come in, you're still gonna do 1 push-up, maybe 2, and people are gonna be like, wow, you've been hitting this for a while. But like you go in there and you just give it 110%, you give it everything you got, and you're just gonna make some changes, and people are really gonna notice, and everyone's gonna be like, wow. Like there's a lot of people that message me and they're like, holy shit, like, what's going on? You're like a different person. And I'm like, hell yeah, I am. And they're like, I really admire your work ethic and everything. And you just inspire other people through what you do, you know. And you don't even do much. Like, I just pick up a barbell and I just put some weights on there. That does nothing, but it speaks so much to other people, and other people really do believe they can do everything or like anything through seeing what you're doing.
Of course, motivation. That's like something I absolutely love. That's one of my number one goals. Like, being popular is cool and such, but like one of my biggest things is I want to have an outreach with a lot of individuals to try to motivate as many people as I can.
For
you
sure.
know? And like that's why like a lot of social media can have its positives and negatives, but like one of my biggest things is like I love social media because one, yeah, there's negatives to it, but you can connect with a lot of people out like an easier way. You know what I mean? Being able to receive messages like that are so humbling, but also like seeing that like you're affecting other people around you is like an incredible feeling. You know what I mean?
See, I struggle with like motivating people on there, because like sometimes I'm like I'll fall into it. I'll be like, no, I'm doing this for myselse. Like this run isn't for nobody else. Like I don't need to post this shit. But then I'm like, but people like it might like seeing people seeing me go for a run might make them like they're like, you know what, I'm gonna jog around the block once. And it's like almost a little selfish of me not to share.
No, of course. Like I think one of the ways, not to perfect it, but like some of my posts, it's one like, for example, Instagram. I post a lot on Instagram, and it's basically like a personal diary for myself to look back. But if you're able to post for yourself and motivate others at the same time, like that's like, you know what I'm saying? You're doing your thing. You know what I mean? Exactly.
After Nate listened to our Chris episode, he told me that he was actually motivated just from listening to that podcast, and he was like, "Oh shit, I gotta do something right now. I'm gonna go for a run."
That's the
he
best.
He went for a run right after listening to the podcast, and he cold showered the next day.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's literally the best.
Cold shower?
Cold showers, dude.
Man.
Is that a big thing?
Oh, that is the thing.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah. All right, so like we live in like the world now where when it's hot we have AC, when it's cold we have heat, we have warmth. So our body never has to actually make any warmth for itself. The body is like your heat, like
temperature regulation.
Yeah, your temperature regulation systems. If in nature, if you don't use it, you lose it. So what a cold shower does is it puts you in this, you have to start getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And you have to start making your own heat for yourself.
Of course.
And it doesn't start like as cold as you can. Like it starts just like just think about like in America, people think a shower is this pleasure box. Like have you ever gotten in the shower and just cleaned yourself in like lukewarm water? Like people that's never even crossed their mind. Mm-hmm. And then like it starts just having the lack of warmth, and it's not necessarily uncomfortable. And then you just work farther and farther, or it could just be a little cold at the end of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's energizing. Like when I get out of a hot shower, I feel like groggy, man.
Go to bed.
And then sometimes you start sweating right after it too.
Dude, I was just going to say that. I used to take a hot shower, and I'm the king of hot showers, dude. I'd turn it all the way to the point where it's almost uncomfortable because I like it. But I would get out of the shower in the morning, and I would be already sweating. Yeah. Like I'd put my shirt on, and before I even leave the dorm, I'd have like sweat stains. But after a cold shower, dude, first off, I feel like I drank like 2 cups of coffee minus the jitters. Mm-hmm. I just feel energized. I feel ready to start the day, and I feel like my consciousness has been honed forward. And it feels great. Mm-hmm. And I can spend longer times out in the cold. I used to be so uncomfortable walking across campus just like back and forth to class in the winter. Mm-hmm. Dude, I can do it in like a t-shirt or a hoodie now, and I feel great.
So I used to, not anymore, but I used to have a horrible sweating problem. Like I used to go to the doctor, get like prescription deodorant, and then similar to what you guys are speaking like about, like being able to adjust, like self-adjust with your body instead of like if you're cold, put a hoodie on. Like your body isn't really reacting to that. So little by little, I started like if I'm really hot, I'm not gonna take my shirt off. I'm just gonna relax, breathe. You know what I mean? And then similar with that, being able to do that, like my body's adapted a little bit. Not that I don't sweat, but I sweat so much more. Like you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I always talk to you about sweating.
Very sweaty people. Yeah. I think a lot of it.
I've read that fit people start sweating before fat people because of their temperature regulation kicks in really quickly. Their body's reacting to it being overheated.
I can't remember the last time I wasn't sweating.
I'm sweating right now.
I wake up in the morning, I'm sweating. It could be negative 10 degrees outside. I'll be sweating and I'll be hot. It's just funny how it works. But the thing with the cold shower, I think it's super interesting because I think it's also like, it also trains your mind a lot, and it's like your mentality.
Discipline.
Back to the discipline.
Yeah, back to the discipline. But
it's facing your fear.
You want to cop out. Like when the first time when I first started the cold showers, you time them, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do 3 minutes, and I'm talking cold. Like you turn on the shower just enough for water to come out, and you stand there for a minute, and you're like, I can't do this, but then you're like, yes, I can. It's cold water. It's not gonna kill me. Yeah. And you stand there, and when you get under the cold water, your body immediately just starts breathing deeper, and it's just like an automatic reaction, and that breathing is just producing heat. Of course. Have you ever heard of Wim Hof?
Yeah,
of course. Somebody may have explained something.
The Church of Wim Hof. I literally convert people to loving it. But like at like base, we're mammals, and like our body combusts like food sources. Oxygen's number one. You can't even go minutes without oxygen. You can go days without food and water. But our body converts oxygen to heat. Is what we really do. So like when you're in the cold shower, your body needs more heat. So all of a sudden you start breathing deeper. Like if I'm sick and like a little junky in the chest, like you get in a cold shower, all of a sudden you just start working, and it's like, of course, everything just starts moving around. But I guess what actually happens is like you get in and like all your veins around your core seal off because it's cold, and like it wants to hold all the like blood and the vitals. And then it realizes that it can survive. So it actually like the veins open farther than wider than they would before. And then so it's actually really a vein workout, and then it sends it to your extremities.
Of course.
So you're actually like doing like a vein and a artery workout.
Yeah, like with frostbite, for example, like your body shuts down. It's hardest to get your blood to your extremities. That's why like when you're really cold, like your hands go numb, your feet go numb. But being able to train yourself in that situation like that, and like keeping your heat in your core, and then being able to train yourself to expand it out is like what you were mentioning before, like a great vein workout. You know what I mean?
We're so Western.
Yeah.
We're so we're so workout, hit it hard, wait, all day. No. I like working in some days. It's like, all right, let's work on some breathing. Let's work on some like
the fundamentals.
Yeah, like we were talking about stretching, like
some of the people that I train. So I train this bodybuilder, and he's like twice Lucas' size, right? He works on all the big muscle group. Yeah, it's a big boy. And
bigger than Luke.
I went to go have him do a proper squat, proper form, breathing properly. We had a 20-pound dumbbell. 20-pound dumbbell.
Do it, right?
He was struggling because one, he didn't have his proper function. Like his core wasn't functioning properly. He wasn't able to breathe properly. And like if he had done that throughout his whole training regimen, like he'd be twice as strong. You know what I mean? And being able, like you preach all the time, having a strong core, everything else develops. You know what I mean?
We're really just legs and a core.
Yeah.
Like when you think these are just
These
like
is just there.
extremities, dude.
Yeah.
Kind of just flailing.
Yeah.
They're just there to pick things up.
I think the temperature regulation works in both directions too. It's important to train yourself in cold, but the sauna is another example where you want to teach yourself how to deal with extreme heat.
Of course.
It's getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like you're like, all right, it sucks, but it's not gonna kill me. Like,
Something I always tell my clients is like, I don't want to use money as a reference, but some of them are like, I can't do this. I'm like, if I had $1 million in front of you right now, are you gonna do another 3 reps? And like, of course. I'm like, that's your like
There you
that's how your ideology
your
should
push.
be at all times. You know what I mean? You don't have to use money. I'll just use an example. But like similar to what you were speaking, like in the shower, like if I had this, like if this was my end goal, like if you cared about the end goal that much, you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? You're not gonna die.
Like if you're in a cold mountain, like with no clothes, are you gonna just be like, I can't?
Yeah.
Just lay down. Like no, you're gonna get out of
keep
there.
going.
dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
You only self-develop when you're put against these not extreme, but difficulties.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
when you
dude.
face these monsters head on, it's what makes you
That's how
stronger.
you adapt.
Yep.
Yeah, the human body is very adaptable.
I learned that in
You can
Dragon Ball
adapt
Z.
to anything. Anything.
Humans live in all types of climates all over
Yeah.
the world. So, I mean, if you're telling me some Eskimo can fall asleep in an igloo surrounded by snow, then we can all take like a 5-minute cold shower.
I think it
Yeah.
all has to do with your
all
mind.
conditioned.
I think it all has to do with your mindset. Like in Split, remember when we were watching it in Split, the guy, not the guy,
What is
one of
Split?
the, it was the movie where the guy has like multiple personality disorder.
Oh, okay.
And he like 1 second he's like an old woman, and then the next second, but he like kills people and he's crazy. But the lady was talking about how with people with multiple personality disorder, you can have like a 20-year-old man, right? There's a 20-year-old man right in front of you, but he thinks he's a 50-year-old woman, right? And now he's struggling picking up groceries. He's struggling like putting tea in a cup or something. But then another personality can be a 25-year-old power lifter, and all of a sudden he can lift 500 pounds and like squat 700 pounds, you know? And it's like so interesting because I think there's just so much potential in your mind that's just unlocked.
Of course.
And yeah, I watch a lot of like Navy SEAL documentaries and everything like that because I just think it's so interesting. And one of the most interesting one was the one I forgot what they were saying, but he was talking about how when your mind wants to give up, your body is only 40% done. So you just have an extra 60% to push through, you know? And I think with the thing you said, if you had $1 million right in front of you, of course they would do that, you know? I think about that all the time. Like my body is about to like shut down and I'm just like, no, it's not. It's just my mind is trying to give up so I can do another 10 reps, you know? And then you go until you literally fail, and it's all about what's in your head.
Going
always.
back to where you're explaining, so I was doing a little bit of research, especially after, because you were pretty intrigued with the movie Split. I was intrigued too. I'm pretty intrigued with mine, and like it's crazy how different individuals with like not crazy, but different personality disorders, like with different personalities when they're active, the neuromuscular like connections like weaken or strengthen. So for example, like when they think that they're like an old woman, like
they become an old woman.
Yeah, like there's the neurological like connections between like the mind and the muscle weaken, and it's like it's
so
crazy.
Cool.
It's crazy. It's
like
cool.
you think you're an old woman
Yeah.
and you literally become an old woman. Just like I had this experience the other day, actually 2 days ago.
Where you became an old woman.
No. I became an old man. I was trying to deadlift, and I was trying to put up 405 pounds, which I can normally do for like at least 15. And I go in there, and I had just failed at a PR attempt. I tried 600 pounds. I didn't get it. And I was like, whatever, I'm just going to go down to 405 and rep it out. And I could not lift it. Like, for the life of me, I just couldn't lift it. And I was like, I don't understand what's going on, because usually I could do this, but I was just doubting myself even before I got in there. And then I was like, I can't do this. And I would go, and I literally couldn't move it. I would try so hard that I would almost faint, but like the weight would not move. But even though the next day I went in there and I just repped out 500 pounds because I was like, I can do this, you know? So it's crazy how things work in your head. It's insane.
Dude, look at these like moms who like have cars on their kid, and all of a sudden they can
lift
pick up
it
a
up.
car, dude.
Yeah.
It's like your body can do it, but your mind is what's stopping you.
Yeah.
But
You
it's
can do
also
anything.
your mind's also the tool to keep you from getting injured too, which is pretty cool. Because if you were just a body with a brain stem, you'd be maxing yourself out way past your limits. But your brain is there to be that that quality control almost. But it's interesting how you can strike that balance between having your brain protect your body and allowing it to push you forward.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any tricks, Lucas or Mike, that you use to keep yourself motivated or disciplined on a daily basis?
Yeah. So this is kind of a little personal. Not really personal, but something that I keep motivated, try to be the best individual I can, is for my family. Like, not that I'm supporting a family or anything like that, but like my mom, my sister, my stepdad, my father, they always push me. And like, not that I want to be the number one like supporter of the fam, but like, you know what I'm saying? You want to take care of your family.
Right.
And like, for example, it all correlates back together. Like, even though I have a fitness job, like I try to be the best I can be at that. Not to make like the most money, but try to be the best at what I'm at, to like be the best human I can be, to be the best supporter for my fam. You know what I mean?
Responsibility, dude.
Responsibility. And like, I've learned that from a very young age. Like, my parents divorced when I was in 6th grade, and I was basically the father figure for my sister. You know what I mean? So like, learning those responsibilities at a young age really conditioned myself like to be disciplined with like different aspects. You know what I mean?
It's funny because we live in a culture where responsibility is, it's like dying.
Yeah.
Like now, like it's like the most like sought after thing and respected and praised thing is to like just let it all go and just go on the road and just forget everything. But like you're saying, like to stay home and lift that weight and carry the people. Like,
Of course.
that's what being human's about, dude.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to go, but like I got shit here, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, if I not that if I had the opportunity, like if I really wanted to go to LA, I could, but like I've been out there 3 times and I love it there. But you have real world responsibilities, you know what I mean? Like student loans, I want to pay those off to be done with, you know what I mean? Like, help, my sister's about to go to college, I want to help my mom out, you know what I mean? Little things like that keep me here, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and I have no problem with that. It doesn't like, it's not that it's holding me back, it's just making me a better human, you know what I mean? So,
And you want like energy and shit in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
like,
Exactly.
Like little sis, man.
Yeah.
Like those my jeans.
Literally, yeah.
so yeah, that's what motivates me.
Dude, I want to circle back to when we were talking about the gym and barbells and lifting weights. Lucas, I know that you originally, when I first met you, what was it, sophomore, junior year? You were mainly about hitting the gym, crushing weights.
Yeah.
And I've seen you transition, not so much transition, but I've seen you kind of adapt, not the right word, but
Become more functional.
no, I've seen you adopt
Transition.
rather the body weight workouts and
Yeah.
handstands, and I see that you love those,
Yeah.
and that you've honestly you've made it work so well. Like you have exceeded Brett and I in our handstands.
No, I don't
rather
think
quick.
I don't think so. I wouldn't go that far.
Dude, I've
Come
seen the
on
videos,
now.
man.
Nah.
You're I mean, if not exceeded, then you've reached them much quicker than we have. I mean, it took us a long time, and you just were right behind us in a second.
Took me years.
Nah. Like I said, it just goes back to the discipline, you know. One thing that really sticks with me is The Rock. The Rock's like my idol. And and he said, "Stay hungry, stay humble, and always be the hardest person working in the room." So it's like, it's just something that really sits with me. Like everywhere I go, I love seeing other people work hard, but I want people to know me for working hard. Like, I don't care what, like, you can, for anything else, like, I want people to know me for my work ethic and for my drive. And that's, like, what I want. That's what I want from me to inspire other people, you know? Because I want other people to be like, oh, if he can do it, because I'm just another person. I consider myself just another person. I'm not better than anyone else. I'm not worse than anyone else. I'm just another dude living this life, but I think I work harder than a lot of people, and that's what I want everyone else to see.
A lot of times, me and Lucas have taken a few long car rides, like different places, and one thing that stuck with me is one time we were talking about social media, and I asked him, like, why do you like posting? And he was like, a lot of people, I get that question a lot, and one reason that he posts a lot is so people can see that this isn't bullshit. Like, he's working at it every single day. He's not. It's not like he's gifted. You know what I mean? Some people are physically more gifted than others, but there's work there. You know what I mean? Like the quote you said before. Like, what was it? Talent beats hard work. Or whatever.
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't
Exactly.
work hard.
Exactly. And like, it's good to be gifted, but then like you have to work for it.
You have to
like,
use the gift.
And like, exactly, you have to use the gift. And as we could physically see, like literally on our phones every day. You know what I mean? Like, we see that he's working at it. You know, so it's pretty cool.
And that's the thing, and I want people to realize, like, Rome wasn't built in a day, you know? You can't just wake up and be good at something. Like, I've never considered myself to be a talented person. I've never considered myself to be, like, creative or above anything else. Like, I've always just considered myself to be an average dude. So I just wanted something like coming into college. I just wanted something that was gonna have me like stick out from other people, and I want that to be like the work ethic, you know. And that is why I do post a lot of videos and just like pictures in general, because people gotta see, you know, what it takes.
Dude.
Yeah, you gotta see what it takes, like to be
love
able
to
to
see
see
it.
It's like he's out there grinding
exactly.
every day.
You have to see what it takes to be able to get where you want, and that's the amount of work you have to put in. And I don't cheat. I don't do anything. I literally just
All natty,
grind.
bro.
Yeah, all natty and grinding.
All natty, that Brazilian food,
all
right?
yeah, the Brazilian food may be a little cheating, but shit.
Hey, you're still banging out the handstands,
Yeah,
though, and that's all that
exactly.
matters. Dude, how have you liked that so far? Have you been really enjoying getting into that body weight workout
Yes,
stuff?
handstanding is the best thing on
It's
earth.
so
And
fun.
what I love the most is like when you post a video, your form can be slightly off, and everyone just messages you like you're wrong, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, what? Let me see you try.
Like,
it.
I'm
Yeah.
standing on my hands.
Yeah,
What is your
like
problem?
this is so hard. And
My
people
body's
will be
totally inverted.
Yeah, people will be like, "Oh, your legs are too forward," or like you're not pointing enough, and I'm just like, "Come on, everyone does it their own way."
Yeah.
But thanks for the tips.
Yeah, don't let anyone sell. I hate when people try to sell someone on like the universal way. Like,
Yeah.
this is the only way you can do it. Like,
Exactly.
bodies all are different, man, and you got to work from body to body.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
hard to have the shoulder mobility when I just started trying to like be flexible in handstands like a couple months ago. So before it was all like
Yeah, your shoulder mobility is ass.
I
back
have
in the day.
no, I don't have mobility period, so it's really difficult.
Yeah,
we're working on it.
Hypermobility.
Mobility, so you need to work
I
on that
wish.
stability.
Dude,
Yeah.
Drew can literally go like almost all the
You
way
want to see
around.
something cool? Peep this.
Oh, bang.
Oh, yeah, so. Yeah, a little trick.
Drew's gonna
Yeah.
wrap it. Touch his other side of the
Yeah,
face.
No, it's pretty cool. So a lot of training is scientifically based, right? So like first thing you want to work on is mobility, because like you may have the strength for it, but if you can only move this amount of like distance, what's the point?
No point.
So you need to work on that mobility, get that whole range of motion. After you have the mobility, you work on stability, being stable while going through the movements. Then you combine that shit together. That's when you're the
And
most
then
strong.
your strength pops.
Your strength
And
pops.
then you start
exactly.
hitting strength.
Yeah, that's why you have to
It's
vary
all
it out.
people let their ego get in the way.
Yeah, it's
And
not-
they're like, I can't just squat the bar. Like I need to, like I can squat
Yep.
more than that. And it's like, no, but I get that. But you should start just squat. You should
Exactly.
start with no bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You should start like and stay active in the whole way up and down the like over the summer. I realized that I was really only like active in like the first third of my squat, and then I would drop to the bottom and catch it.
Yeah.
And like I worked on staying active and strong the whole way down.
Yeah.
And it was like
Exactly.
a process.
Yeah,
But now my squat is like so much stronger.
way better. Yeah.
Like I don't often push heavy weights. Like I really just like I'm pretty much just body weight.
Yeah.
But still, I feel strong. I'm strong. Like see, I'm coming from the exact opposite end. I consider myself like a creative. Like I've always just been in my head, like never in my body, like skinny asthmatic gamer. Like and now I'm really like discovering my body and like I'm addicted to it. I love it
It's the
so
best.
much.
It's
Like,
so cool.
I'm stronger than I've ever been in my whole life, and I'm happier and more fulfilled than I've ever been in my whole life because of it.
Exactly. It's a shame that some people don't get to experience that, like how much they can push their. Oh, you good?
All right.
Thank you, boys.
Bum, we're back.
Hello, and welcome back. Episode 8.
Episode 8 is here. All right. Do we remember what we were talking about? You had a
Uh,
point you were going to bring up right when the cameras cut out.
Oh.
It's gone.
yeah, it's all good.
You know what we should talk about? What is the most awkward thing that's ever happened in your life?
Oh,
Can I start?
Yes.
oh fuck. Okay.
Oh, so I knew this like senior when I went into high school. So I went to a private high school. So like I didn't know, and basically I knew like 2 kids going in, and he's like, "Okay, dude, we're gonna pull you up on stage tomorrow," and I was like, "Okay, whatever." So they pulled me up on stage. And literally, it was like this game show, and I didn't say anything the whole time. Like everyone else was answering everything, so I was like, "All right," because I think we were 2 points ahead, like the teams. So I was like, "Okay, one more question. I'm gonna troll." So he was like, "What's the answer to this?" And I just completely gave a bullshit answer. I was like, "A lot," and he was like, "No, definitely not the answer." And the whole school like simultaneously started going, "Go home, freshman.
Damn.
Go home." And I'm just sitting there just like looking at the crowd just like berating me. And I'm like, this is my high school experience. It was rough.
Oh, my God.
Who's next? I'll go next.
I'm trying to think.
So, Me and my ex-girlfriend. Shout out Jen real quick. Me and my ex-girlfriend. We're still friends, we're good. So we were at the club. You guys know how I club promote this and the other thing.
Oh yeah.
And we were chilling, having a good time. And she walked away, or I walked away. And then I came back. I was just saying hi to her, this, that, and the other thing. And I look up, there's like music, people, DJ blasting, whatever. And I go down, and like, I look down, and something just didn't process in my head. And I just went and kissed a girl right on her forehead. And then I turned back, and I see Jen looking right at me from like 4 people like forward. And I was like, oh, what? And then it turned out it wasn't Jen, so I just ran away. But she knew what happened. So
it's funny because mine is very similar to
really?
that. Yeah, so it actually happened last year, I think. At ECC, and I walk in, and there's this girl that I thought was a friend that I know, and it's like in my culture to kiss people on the cheek, like to greet them and everything. Yeah. So I thought I knew this girl. Looked just like one of my friends from the back. So I go up to her, and like I gave her a kiss on the cheek, and she turns around, and it was just some random girl I've never seen in my life. And I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and I said, I am so sorry. I thought you were one of my best friends. And she looks at me, and she goes, well, I'm so sorry. I thought you were my boyfriend. And I was like,
can be.
I was like, can we both agree to never speak about this again? And she was like, agreed.
Damn.
And then I left. Wow. So shout out to that girl.
This is just far from the actual mic.
At least she was like somewhat understanding about it, and you had this like agreement that was a horrendous experience, and you started part ways.
Dying.
That's hilarious. At least it was mutual, and
I
she
know,
didn't
but
like
it was
slap
so
you.
It was so awkward. Oh my lord, I'm like awkward talking about it now. I just feel so bad. I feel like I traumatized that girl.
Really?
She
Every
was
time
like,
she sees you on campus, she's like,
and I don't even remember what she looks like because my mind blocked it off. You know when your mind like blocks it? Yeah. My mind like blocked off all aspects of that memory. Like I don't remember anything except that. I'm sorry to that girl if they're watching this.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, dude, it's tough to think of like the most awkward experience of my life, because I feel like my entire life is this like culmination of awkwardness, of random awkward encounters that happen to me on a daily basis, and they just like they all add up. But the one that came to mind for me was, I think it was the first day or one of the second days back or something of sophomore year at BSU, and there was this kid that I thought I recognized from like this house party that I'd gone to a lot, and he was always there. Yeah. And he was sitting with this one kid that I had met in class. So I'm like, oh, these like, I think just recognizing the one kid from class kind of made that connection in my mind. That was like, oh, I know these people. And I just like, I like walked up behind this kid, and I'm just like patting him on the shoulder. I'm like, my dude, like, how we doing? And I like sit down at the table, and everyone's like looking at me, and I'm like, man, long time no see. How was your summer? And he's like everyone was just quiet, and he was like, I don't know you. He didn't even play along. He's just like, dog, I don't know you. I'm like, no, like, I'm pretty sure we went out, like, you were at a house party last year. He was like, I don't party.
Damn.
I'm like, I look at the other kid, and he's like, I don't even think he remembered me from class. So at that point, I'm just like, oh, well, I must have the wrong person here.
Like, humor me, man.
Yeah, like, they were all just like, so, I mean, it was like a funeral at that table. Like, they were not having it. I was like, all right, sorry about that, guys. Take my tray and get out of there.
I feel you on that.
Imagine if you dropped your tray on the way back. Too.
Right?
That would have just added to the
like,
awkwardness. Just drop everything. Everything goes flying. Oh God.
Oh, dude, I definitely feel you on that. Like, especially at school, going to like house parties out here. Like, one, you're drinking a little bit if you're 21 plus. No, I'm kidding. But you drink a little bit and you meet like 10 people at a time. Of course, you're not gonna remember everybody's names. And like I feel so bad. Like some people I'd see every day after the parties, and like I forgot their name, and I'd just be like, hey bro, how you doing? And it'd be like an everyday thing. Yeah. No homeboy for like 2 years. I'm just like, hey bro, it was good. Like,
that's why I call everyone guy. Or like, hey, man, guy. Hey guy, hey man. Yeah. Even like your closest friend, you just call him guy or man, just because no one gets a name. If I don't remember one name, no one's named.
No joke.
I've tried to start like filing people under a name. Really? Like, I don't think like, oh, that's John. I think, oh, that's a John. And then like I think of like every other John that I know, and I just like play the association game, and it's honestly like
it's worked.
It works.
He's got like a file cabinet in his head, and each folder has a name on it. Like
pull it out,
Drew, and he just like look in the folder, and there's just a bunch of headshots. Like, these are all Mike's. Like, these are all Drew's.
It works though.
I hate names. Names are so hard to remember.
I'm bad.
No, terrible.
I don't know.
Sometimes I like forget family members' names. Like I honestly think
Or
I have,
you.
Yeah, I'm
Were
just
you?
like,
Your
oh,
mother.
like I'll go to a family party and I'll just be like, oh, who are you? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's like my stepdad's sister or something.
no
And I'll be
bullshit.
like, oh, I remember seeing you. I don't remember your name.
Did you ever watch Parks and Rec?
No.
No.
This character, Ron Swanson from it, he just like he's very antisocial, and he really doesn't like people getting like chummy with him. So he's like, when people around my workplace start to get too chummy with me, I call them by a different name to remind them how insignificant they are. And like they just show a clip of like this girl handing him a folder, and he's like, "Thank you, April." And they just like they look at him, and he's like, "Is that all?"
Hey, I got a question for y'all before I forget. So I'm not trying to get a little deep or anything like that, but what's the biggest difficulty you've ever experienced in your life? Anything?
Oh.
You can think about it. Go ahead, think about it.
I think for me, dude, honestly, it's discipline.
Discipline?
I suck at discipline, like
How so?
very badly. I don't know. It's more like I have these ideas of what I want. Like I plan out my days and my weeks, and I'm like, awesome. Like I'm gonna do this, and that. But if one thing falls out of place and it like fucks up my whole schedule or my whole idea, I kind of just like drop it off, and I have to like do a hard reset almost. Like I have to shut down and then reevaluate. But I don't know. I feel like I'm super ADHD, so my attention just bounces to different things all day. Like I'll be working really hard at something, and one thought will just flash through my mind. I'm like, oh, gotta go do that right now. Yeah. So it's kind of it's the struggle of like keeping on task for me.
Got you.
I guess mine is like an ongoing one. I guess it kind of falls in line with yours, but it's like the difficulty of like being myself and living up to what I think I really am. And like coming into college, like I thought I had to be something. I thought I had to be somebody that I wasn't, and I would like try to portray that. And then like I had a couple experiences, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be myself. If people don't like me, like too bad. And it was just like, I don't know. It's scary at first to start like saying what you really think or saying what you really feel, or like just being that thing that's bubbling up inside of you.
Yeah.
But like get more and more positive reinforcement, and people love when you're yourself.
Exactly.
Because like I don't know. I don't really like fit into a lot of herds. Like I'm like different type of kid.
Yes.
Like so it's scary to like to stick out and like be different. And not only that, but like living up to what I think I am. Like I think I'm a person who's capable of much more work than the average person. And like when I don't live up to that, like it's hard. And it's like, I don't know, just not being the person who you think you are at heart. It's difficult because you're like, why aren't I like, and you start blaming yourself. But
something that I've learned, I've kind of like lived by is like, especially with like not that you were caring about what people thought about you before, but something that I've thought about, like, if you can't control it, don't get upset about it, right? So like other individuals' opinions, if someone's talking shit about you, that's not you, you know what I'm saying? Like that's them being negative. So don't get upset about it. You know what I mean? Obviously, like, to a certain degree you'll get upset, but you're not controlling that. Only be conscious of like what you can control, how you can better the situation, how you can learn from situation, you know what I mean? And like being yourself, like thinking about like that has made me a much happier individual. You know what I mean? Like not only caring about what I can control, but thinking about what I can do to be happy and sticking with it. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's like it's out of my sphere of influence. Like I can't change that shit. So
Exactly.
why worry about it? Yeah, for real.
I think I don't know like quite how to word it. I guess I would say not being able to be yourself sometimes, because I feel like a lot of people expect a lot from you all the time. Like we had this conversation multiple times where if I have like a day off, like a day where I'm just something's going wrong and like I'm upset, people will be like, oh, you're Lucas, you can't be upset, you know? Or like if I like am struggling with something, oh, but you're Lucas, you can't struggle with that. Like what does that mean? You know, like not, I feel like,
I like
a lot of people just hold you to like this like unrealistic expectation all the time. And like I talk a lot about how like you shouldn't, like what matters is what you think of yourself, but at the same time, like I live my life for other people, you know, and like that's how I live. So it's like hard for me when I'm struggling with something and I feel like I can't connect with anyone because they're just gonna like shun me or like be like, no, you can't do that because you're you. And I'm like, but this is me, you know? So it's tough. I think like that connection is something I really struggle with, which is why like personally, I don't share a lot of problems with people. It's like hard for me too, because I just feel like people are just gonna shoo me away and be like, your problems aren't realistic because you're Lucas. Like, you can do anything. And I'm just like, but I can't. Like,
you're a prisoner to other people's idea of you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Like some false expectation of what they think I am.
Of course.
It's like they put you on this pedestal, and then they're disappointed in you when you don't live up to that ideal that they think you are.
Like it's cool that they hold you to a high expectation,
but
you have to be realistic about it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's the thing that bothers me the most, I think, out of everything.
I'll get a lot of times I'll be like, "Oh, Mike, why are you sad? You're never sad." You know what I'm saying? It's like okay to experience certain situations.
Yeah.
I'm not a very sad individual, but like it's okay to feel certain emotions.
Yeah, I know.
When you're reacting to certain situations, and like.
It's
sometimes
natural,
it's natural, and sometimes it's worse when people are like, oh, you shouldn't be sad. Well, I mean, it's okay to like they're cheering you up, but like in a sense, like they're telling you can't do this. You know what I mean? It's like you can experience whatever.
It's like I need you to be happy.
yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the most difficult and annoying thing, I think.
Yeah.
See, I thought you were gonna go down a different avenue when you said living up to this expectation, because one of the things that I noticed, because I never used to be involved at all in this institution. Like I kind of just did my own thing, hung out with friends, went to class, and that was about. I mean, I worked at CISO, but like I don't really consider that as like a heavy involvement. Where when you get involved on campus and you have these responsibilities, you also have to almost fake who you are, because you have to be professional. And I don't know, it's just weird. Like you have this idea where when you're walking around campus, you're like you said, living up to that expectation that people have for you. And now you're not only living for yourself, but you're living for others, which is, I find that kind of difficult sometimes, where you just want to be yourself, but you're worried that might affect your other responsibilities in life.
No, of course. Definitely.
I've really never had that problem, because I've never had a job on campus, never been like, I'm general population, like totally. Like I'm held to no expectations. I don't have to worry about running into a boss. So like I have to worry about running into a teacher, but like I don't have to watch my image, none of that stuff. Like I'm just truly free to be myself, and it's a blessing.
Something that I've like tried to figure out in a sense like that, how can I be myself and still respect, like have a respectful image? Like my job like is social media heavy, like a lot of fitness posts and such, and like especially in college, like this is completely unrelated, but like with clubs. So one of my teammates, his cousin owns like a clubbing promotional company, and like through that I was able to use social media to like learn how to run businesses, learn how to market, you know what I mean, be socially, like learn how to speak to different people. And like even Lucas, I brought Lucas to like the team, and like one of the biggest compliments I can receive is when people look at me in the eye and they're like, if I would start a business, I want you a part of it. You know what I mean? Because you understand how to function properly. It's not about money. It's like, you know how to compete and like figure things out and problem solve. You know what I mean? Like even though, exactly, play for the team. And like even though it's club promoting, I'm not even gonna lie to you, it's probably the most valuable job I've ever had. Like, and like when I had my interview at Equinox, it was fucking 5 interviews, and one of the most important things was the club promoting. I learned how to market. I learned how to talk to people, sales, you know what I mean?
How to frame it,
exactly. And like little things like that, I just love tying in. Even though like people are like, oh, you're clubbing, you're drinking with girls, this, that, and the other things. Nah, like I'm working. Like one of my favorite things, like I feel like I'm very good at, is like I'll be at like a club or a party, and people think I'm just there to get drunk, but I'm networking. Networking is one of my favorite things to do, because like not that I want to meet as many people, but like the more people you know, the more connections you have. You know what I mean? And it's not like you're using people to benefit yourself, but it's always great to do a favor for you. Like if you you have a truck and I need to move, like, hey Lucas, can you help me out? He helps me out, I'm gonna help him out. You know what I mean? Like we're being friends. They're not using each other. You know what I mean? So it's always good to have connections like that.
Now I have a question. How do you mediate between spreading yourself thin like that and also like giving the people who really matter to you their due?
Yeah, so that's a very fine line. You always got to be conscious about it. Like going back to what we were speaking about, social image. Like people think that like I'm out doing this, doing that all the time, but like, and like especially with Snapchat, you can see what people are doing, but you only see what they're doing for like 30 seconds a day, and people think that's what you're doing all day. But you have to balance out like family. You know what I mean? Like especially like when I first started working this summer and having a full-time job, I was working 7 days a week, and like it was hard to balance. You know what I mean? Like my family life, like my girlfriend life at the time, you know what I mean? And you just have to find that like that happy balance. But once you do, like it's phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like you're able to balance that image and being able to be with your friends and work and being with your family and being what's like most important. And like it takes a while to figure out what's most important. You kind of want to be selfish and go have fun, but then you want to be relating back to what we were speaking, like care for others, you know? So you just have to, it's a fine line that always moves, but as soon as you try to get like critiqued and nice and smooth with it, it's clean. You know
And when you feel, I feel like that's when you hit that sweet spot, that's when you feel connected.
Yes.
And that's truly when you feel like you're doing you.
Yeah.
And like you just feel confident about what you're doing.
Of course.
How about you? Because you're a social kid as well.
Repeat the question real quick. How you spread
Like,
it
you know, a
thin,
lot of people.
but still give
like your homies
time,
their due.
So it's like it's really difficult. I think that time management is extremely difficult because it's hard to have like academics, a social life, and like physical well-being. So, but
Facts.
yeah,
Like
it's
choose two.
Extremely, yeah. You honestly, if you want to succeed, you have to like choose two because it's hard to choose all three. So like I just end up honestly sacrificing maybe like schoolwork or something to just have some time to spend with friends, or because it's impossible. It really is. And people, I think that's like a huge thing. People think, especially teachers, which piss me off. But teachers think like you have to study for 12 hours like you want to succeed, but besides like the studying for this class, you got to study for 5 other classes, and then you have a social life with your friends. Like your friends want to do stuff, and then you don't go out with them or something. You don't hang out with them. They think you're like ditching them. They stop talking to you, and then you have like things with your family, and then you have to work. And it's really difficult to balance everything. But sometimes I just honestly take a hit in one of them. So like if I know I'm killing it with my grades, then I'll like lean back a little bit and I'll focus more on like talking and being social and like hitting the gym. But if I know my grades are slipping, then I'll like maybe give up a little bit on my gym time, try to speed it up so I could study a little more or like spend some time with my friends. But like
it's like spinning a bunch of
it's
exactly.
like it's 3 things and you just honestly got to take a hit on one. That's how I feel.
You could always do your homework in a handstand position.
I'll do my homework at the gym in a handstand while talking to friends. Boom.
On the phone.
Perfect. Like, hey, what's up? How are you? Headstanding.
A quote that stuck with me. I learned it in 8th grade. Mr. Teitelbaum, shout out Mike Teitelbaum. His dad once told me, give the busiest person the work that has to be done. So, like, for example, what you were speaking about before, like, if you have a lot of time to yourself, like, yeah, you'll be able to concentrate on one thing. But if you're busy and you're like, I need to do schoolwork, I need to work out, I need to hang out with my friends, you're gonna get everything done because you have to get done. Like, for example, during basketball season, my grades were the best because I knew I had to go to practice. So I had to get my homework done. I had to go see my friends. You know what I mean? Comparatively to somebody who doesn't have that many responsibilities, they're like, oh, maybe I'll do my homework in 4 hours. Maybe I'll do it right before I go to sleep. That. It's, you know what I mean?
It's that momentum.
Momentum, exactly.
But it's
Pace
something you
staying
learn
busy.
through experience, I think.
Yeah.
Like putting yourself through that. That's why I think it's so important. Like freshman year, I really wanted to learn that lesson for myself. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do as much as possible. And then like through that and like through that suffering that you go through, I think you start to like learn how you really handle those situations and what you have to do. So it's a lot of experience.
No, definitely. And my favorite quote, we were speaking about quotes before. My favorite quote is, what is it?
Favorite quote.
Yeah, I know. No, everybody's always fighting a battle you know nothing about. So, like, for example, like, you're speaking about your friends. They'll get mad at you because you're not hanging out with them. You think that you're not making time with them because you don't want to hang out with them. But, like, you're dealing with responsibilities. I need to go hang out with my aunt. Like, she may be a little sick. I need to go help my mom with something. I need to work. I need to make money to pay bills. Like, not that people don't have responsibilities, but, like, especially you and me, like, we have a relatively good amount of responsibilities. You know what I mean? So, like, sometimes I've experienced that where friends will get mad at me and be like, "Oh, why aren't you making time for me?" It's like, I'll show you what I've been doing all day. Like I barely have time for myself. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to be selfish in that aspect, and like they'll understand. But that's where communication comes in. You know, communication's so vital. Friendships, relationships. You know what I mean? Everything.
It's like an airplane, man. You got to put your mask on before you put someone else's on.
Exactly.
You got to help yourself
No
before
joke.
you can help anyone else.
Yeah.
The pace of life moves so quickly here.
Yeah, it's
It's
absurd.
insane.
As soon as one thing drops out of your schedule, something else fills it up immediately. There's always something to be doing.
Yeah.
And something that I've really been trying to focus on is not to stress out about those things. That's why I never really stress out much because it's gonna happen no matter what. You know, like time's gonna go on, like regardless. Like so you don't have to spend too much time overthinking or stressing out. Don't people like me? Like, are those friends really gonna be with you in 10 years? You know, like I just got a 70 on my accounting exam. True story. But like, is that gonna matter in like 50 years from now?
No.
You know, when I'm rich as hell in a bathtub watching TV or something, like
Doing a handstand.
no, yeah, doing a handstand. No,
Handstand
it's
in the
not gonna
bathtub.
matter. So it's like, don't stress. But like, life's gonna continue going regardless. You know, so you just kind of gotta go with it.
Something being in the real world, not going to school anymore. Well, granted, I still have to study for Equinox. We have like an in-house education system, but like something I've realized is not caring about people that weren't like your direct friends. You know what I mean? Like after I graduated, like I tried hanging out with this kid during the summer, and it took me like 2 weeks. Like I always have something like I put my time and effort into what's important for me. You know, I'll work, I'll be with my family, I'll be with my close friends, and then like those people that you wouldn't see all the time, like they're not as important to you. So like it's just concentrating, like leveling out what's important to you and what's not, and like what you were saying before, like what really matters, you know?
And not stressing the little things.
Exactly.
I can't remember where I heard this. Oh, it was actually that commencement speech, wear sunscreen. I think you know about this one, right? He was saying stressing over your problems is like trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. It will not help at all.
Yeah.
Just stressing over something but not taking the action, it's just beating yourself up for nothing.
You know what I think too? I think that social networking part of college is totally underrated. Like that is like, teachers act like that is like something that like that's recreation, like that's your shit for fun. But meanwhile, like that's the shit that's gonna like
It's gonna
Make
matter.
you
that's
successful in
really
life.
gonna pay off.
It's not what
after
you know, it's who
college.
you know.
It's
all throughout life. It doesn't matter what you know, but if you know the right people, you're gonna make it anyway.
Exactly. Literally, for me, it started in 8th grade. So 7th grade, there's this kid named Chris Kowalik. Shout out Chris Kowalik. I haven't seen you in like 10 years. But in 7th grade, he had a party. I wasn't invited to it. I wasn't a cool kid. You know what I'm saying? And then 8th grade, I got invited to it, and I met a bunch of people, like Aaron, all them. We all hung out. Became popular, right? So then 8th grade, I liked that, you know, that I knew a lot of people. Not that I was like popular, everybody knew me, but like I was able to make more friends. And then same thing with high school. And I was like, I want to know as many people. I want to like connect with as many people. And then like transition to college. I knew a lot of people. I played basketball. I had 3 jobs, the clubbing thing. Like I met so many people, and like I want to continue that level where like now I'm at Equinox. I want to meet as many people. The city of Boston, I want to be, you know what I'm saying? And it gets to a point where like, my bad. It gets to a point where like I want to be known everywhere. To relate back to motivating as many people as possible. You know what I mean? That's my goal.
Absolutely. But I feel like also at the same time, like if you look at the seasons, like you go outward, and then like summer you go outward, winter you got to come inward. Like there's got to be some mic time too.
Of course. Hell yeah. Like you got to relax for yourself. You know, it's not like we've been preaching, like you have to be selfish sometimes. And like not even just like social media aspect, like even with like family, like you ever have that moment where like your mom's like bugging you and you're like, Mom, leave me alone for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect to your mom. I love my mom. But, like, me time. You know what I'm saying?
Valuable.
Exactly.
Very valuable.
You love yourself before you love others, right?
I think that love for others stems from love for oneself.
Exactly.
You can't if you don't love yourself.
You honestly can't. You can't like show someone you care or anything. Like if you don't know how you operate yourself, or if you don't know your identity and yourself, how you're gonna help other people.
Yeah.
You really can't. So it's all about finding out your identity. And that's why like I love college so much, you know, and that's what I think is the most important. Like out of everything, academics cool, whatever, but like the process or the journey throughout like developing your identity in college is so important. And it's like not something a lot of people give attention to, but I think it just makes everything, because like finding out who you are like throughout life is just gonna help you with everything, because you know how you operate, you know what ticks you off, you know like how like your strengths, your weaknesses, how you can help push someone else, and you know your struggles, and you know how you've overcome them. Voice crack. So it's like it's just so important, and that's like my goal in the future is honestly to like send people to college, like have a scholarship or something to send people to college, just because I think it's so important that journey that's just going to push you towards knowing who you are and like how you operate, and just your identity is just so valuable.
Of course.
Yeah.
Springboarding off that, one time my friend Andrew said, shout out Andrew Marquisio, said about my friend group, and I think it's true of everyone at this table as well. He says like, if you took any of us and dropped us in a school in Utah, Colorado, anything, like you're not going to be a different person, because you have a definitive idea and knowledge of who you are. But there's a lot of kids who, if you drop them there, all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, what's cool? What's the easiest thing to be? and they look around and they grab onto that, and that's who they are, because they're just followers. They've never taken that time to really dive inward and say, what am I about? Like, what do I stand for?
Yeah.
What do I like to do? A lot of people don't even know what that, like. Well, I say to a lot of people, it's like, what do you like to? What's the most enjoyable thing you like to do? And people are like, I don't know. It's like, how do you not know what you like to do, man? Like, what are you smiling when you're doing?
Yeah.
Dude, that's what college teaches you. And coming from high school, I had such an ass backwards idea of what college would be like. And I feel like everyone does, because they paint this picture that it's just like extended school. You know, there's more classes, more homework, and it's harder. But it's nothing like that. I feel like it's so, looking back, it's so vital, and it's really changed a lot about who I am, or at least allowed me to find who I am. Because it not only, like, the classes, honestly, I feel like about 25% of what I've learned here has been in the classroom. The rest has all been through
experience.
Yeah, experience and just going through this social experience with everyone else here, where you want to learn, and eventually it gives you that drive to want to be the best person that you can be. That's so valuable,
especially when you're surrounding yourself with the right people, like people who are just gonna push you towards being a better person. And that's so important. And like, surrounding yourself with the right people is extremely important. So
that's why I love traveling. You learn different cultures. College, you meet people that aren't just in your town. You know what I mean?
Tribalization.
Yes, exactly. And you meet so much, like, you learn, you're not like in this one little area. You learn everybody's stories. That's why I love, like, speaking to people like this. I love this shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning about y'all. Like, I thought I knew a lot about y'all, which I did, but like, now within like this hour, you know what I'm saying? It's growth even more.
Dude, that's why this podcast is a blessing.
Yeah, I know. I love this shit.
It just like lets you sit down and like just dig into it with people who you never usually would. And it's like, it's awesome, man. You get to know people. Just like, because you're like, oh, podcast, like, we're going to talk into mics for an hour. It gives you the reason to sit down. Like, and you wouldn't usually do this.
And talking face-to-face is becoming like a dead thing. Like, how many people do that? It's all through Twitter, Twitter, Facebook, like, FaceTime. Sometimes that's okay, but it's like talking, like sitting down with someone and talking to them and looking at them is just, how many people do that? You know, how many people develop that skill to be able to talk to someone? A lot of people don't do that. They just feel comfortable behind a computer screen.
Dude, exactly. And not only, I think, do you learn a lot about other people, like, I've learned so much about you two for this episode, but every time I look back on an episode, I learn so much more about myself too. Of course, I learn all my ticks. I mean, how many times have I fucking said like this episode? Every sentence, you know. And I didn't realize that about myself until we started doing the podcast, and I looked back and I'm like, holy shit, I can't speak.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy too. Like, I've learned a shit ton about myself, even though it's been an hour. I feel much more comfortable, like, speaking to you guys. Not that I wasn't uncomfortable, but, like, even, like, some people think, like, same thing, like what you were saying, like, oh, you're Mike, you're Lucas, you can speak in front of everybody. When we started this episode, my heart was racing, you know what I'm saying? But, like, now I'm nice and calm. This is normal conversation.
It all just melts away.
It melts away, and we're just talking, you know what I mean? So, like,
forget the cameras are there.
Some people are like, oh, you're supposed to be great at this. It's like, nah, I never do this before, you know what I mean? But it's cool. I feel confident.
Hell yeah.
Like, I could do this again. So feature me in another episode, all right?
Please come back. Guys, this was an awesome episode. Thank you guys for joining us.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of course, fellas.
Well, episode 007
in the books.
Bag. Hey.
Guys, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
It's been real.
Appreciate it. Good shit, boy.
Good time.
Ooh, baby.
These cameras are right about to go out.
Hey.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brad. Happy birthday to you. I am the best friend. Make a wish. Make a wish. Oh, sorry.
Guys, you are all the best. Thank you so much.
Colin Loftus?
Howdy.
Oh, he's crying. Oh, he's crying. Oh, he's fucking great. Yo, we gotta blow him out. Blow him out, boy.